I'm Joey Brown. I've got a secret.
I've Got a Secret, presented by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette. Yes, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. Now, Winston filter cigarettes bring you America's #1 panel show, I've Got a Secret, starring Gary Moore.
Well, welcome, friends. Thank you very much for tuning in our show tonight. It should be a good one because very happily we are all reunited. So, let's see who all here is reunited. To begin with, we have Mr. Bill Cullen. And then we have Miss Jane Meadows. And then we have Mr. Henry Morgan. And back with us after much too long a time, Miss Faye Emerson. That is our panel. Henry, we have a bit of old business to clean up from last week's show. You might remember that during one spot, things got so terribly confused that you rather wished that you were elsewhere, and you made a very plaintive plea to the audience for some nice, clean work other than television. You should know better than to ask for anything on television. We have here
Oh, no.
1,500 offers of jobs for you from all over the country. We haven't had a chance to go through them all. Sometime when you have a month open, you may.
I tell you, Gary, I'll take the top one.
The top one? Dear Mr. Award-winning Morgan, we are reasonably hard-boiled people, but your appeal for honest work on last Wednesday's program moved us beyond measure. We fully understand the nature of the strain under which you apparently work and are prepared to offer you a full-time, honest, respectable, and soothing job. Unfortunately, we do not think that the salary we can offer you can compare with your present one, but we feel that you will be fully complimented by the personal satisfactions evolving therefrom. At present, we are seeking...
What's the address, Gary? Gary, where is
This
it?
is from New York, New York.
Oh, I can stay.
Yeah? It says, at present, we are seeking the services of a mature, responsible, and sober companion to a 3-year-old...
Wait a minute. 3-year-old what?
personable, gentle, and very charming cat.
He doesn't mention a figure, though.
Doesn't mention a figure. Along with the above-mentioned compensations, during your working hours, all the cat foods you can eat will be readily available to you. Mr. and Mrs. Galfern, Lois and Army Galfern.
Well,
You can look at... Don't make any hasty decisions. You have also been offered a job as assistant embalmer in Swazi, Indiana. A job as companion to an 80-year-old woman in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Coach of a girls' basketball team at the Forbush School in East Bend, North Carolina.
Where's that?
Save the best to last.
Oh.
A couple in Haynesville, Louisiana, have just bought a beautiful antique pedestal. They have no statue to display on it. They're offering you a job just sitting on the pedestal, making like a statue, $16
They don't want me. They want a stiff.
Henry, we'll save these letters for you. There may be something you like in here.
No, it's very relaxing now that I know I have an out.
All right. Well, now that we have solved some of Henry's problems, let's create some of our own for the panel. Will our first contestant come in, please? Would you tell the panel, please, what your name is and where you are from?
Frances Haskett, New York City.
This is Miss Haskett. Miss Haskett of New York City. Now, Miss Haskett, if you will whisper your secret to me, at the same time we will show it to the folks at home. All right, panel, to help classify her secret, I will tell you it concerns something that she taught someone. And, Bill, we'll start with you. Friend.
Is this someone a man?
No.
Well, then, this woman to whom you taught this thing, does she do this in front of audiences in public, like?
No.
Has she become famous for doing this?
No.
Did you teach her something useful?
Oh, yes.
It was Miss Haskett who taught her something useful, you understand?
Is it something you could teach, for instance, just picking a name at random, you teach my wife to do?
Yes.
Well, before I let her take lessons, would she have to practice on me in order to learn to do this?
Hardly.
We hardly think that would be necessary. $20 down and $60 to go, and we go to Jane Meadows, please.
Miss Haskett, have you taught many girls to do this?
Yes.
Does this have anything to do with a hobby or a form of recreation?
No.
No? Is this something that a girl might normally do around the house?
It's possible.
Yeah, if the conditions are favorable, yes.
Well, would she most likely, or would she likely do it in the kitchen?
Oh, hardly.
Not likely. It's possible, but not likely.
Would this be something that you might teach a girl who was about to be married?
Not particularly.
Not particularly, no.
Well,
Did you yourself do this recently?
yes.
All right, there's $40 down and $40 to go, and we go to eminently employed Henry Morgan.
The kind of job I had in mind is sort of an indoor job more than an outdoor job. However, I would like something that has enough money in it so that I can, we could,
You got 1,500 possibilities. Don't keep plugging. We can't answer the mail.
oh, they're all cats.
$60 down and $20 to go, and we go to Fazy.
Is this a physical kind of thing that you taught, Mrs. Haskett?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with kissing?
No.
Oh, I'm way off. But it does involve a part of the body.
Yes.
Anything to do with dancing or singing?
Dancing or singing has nothing to do
No.
with either.
Would I be
one.
interested in knowing to whom you taught this?
I think you would.
Would it be somebody in this theater?
No.
Is it a celebrity? Somebody that we would know, whose name
Yes.
we'd know? A lady?
Yes.
A lady, and a lady's name is Grace Kelly. Miss Haskett, what did you teach Grace Kelly, if you will please?
I taught Grace Kelly how to put on the diaper on the baby.
Now, Miss Haskett, you first of all identify yourself as to job, what it is that you do for a living.
I am Director of Nursing Services at the New York chapter of the American Red Cross, and I teach and train instructors to teach the mother and baby care course that's taught to expectant parents.
Did Grace Kelly come in to take this course?
She came in to observe the lesson on the care of the baby.
Was this, and this is because that possibly she will serve in some executive capacity in the Red Cross in Monaco,
That
right?
is correct, yes.
But meanwhile, it's going to come in pretty handy from a personal viewpoint, too.
Yes, she had a very personal interest in it.
I'll bet you. Miss Haskett, yes,
Is
Faye.
it true that the old triangle shape is out and now the new square? I just wondered.
I like the off-the-shoulder, my Way off the shoulder.
I don't know. How about that? Is the old triangle gone?
It's really out of
It's,
style, isn't it?
out of style,
Out
yes.
of style, yes. I just wanted to know. We want to be chic here.
Yeah, every time you turn your back, that Christian Dior pulls something. You know, there you go. Well, thank you very much, Miss Haskett, for being with us. We want to give you the money that you have so rightfully won, a carton of Winston cigarettes, and one of our Ive Got A Secret games with which you can while away a smart week figuring out how to play it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us. Good night. Now, Henry, before we leave this job proposition completely, I want to tell you there's one telegram that came in that kind of tempted me for you because I thought it sounded like it might do you good. I don't know. It comes from some people named Bob, a man by the name of Bob Marland. He says, Henry Morgan, care of I've Got a Secret. Have clean, healthy, honest, invigorating job as cowboy on cattle ranch waiting for you. Bring boots and saddle. Bob Marland of Mullen, Nebraska.
No, I'm a city boy, and I'm very soft, and I don't like the food they eat, cowboys, and I don't want to end up in pictures making westerns, and no,
I'm
that
glad
isn't what
you
I had
don't-
in
you
mind.
don't want to turn it
no,
down.
I
I figured out another drawback that helps me out a little bit, too, Henry. I figured out, that while I've no doubt that the Wild West would probably do you some good, at the same time, if you went out, if you were anybody who's ever seen a real cowboy, knows that a real cowboy never smokes tailor-made cigarettes. You couldn't do that. So you'd have to, if you were a real cowboy, you would have to roll your own. And I'll show you how easy that is to be done. You take the paper.
don't be nervous, Tex.
Oh, no. I've seen Gary Cooper do this a million times, so I know there's nothing to it. That's probably how he learned to talk that way, you know? Well, apparently the thing has to do with just how little tobacco you put in. You got to put in just the right amount of tobacco. Excuse me, just a minute. Don't. Here. No. Jason, you shouldn't applaud because rolling it isn't so tough. It's making your own filter. That's hard. That's real hard. I tell you what, Wranglers, why don't you let the good Winston people make your filters for you? No one makes them any better, you know. Pure white on the inside and cork smooth on the out. And the cigarette that goes with the filter, of course, is no slouch either. And I'm not anxious to be modest about this thing. In our Winston cigarette, we can honestly say that we have the most popular filter cigarette in the country today. We say it is the best-selling one because it is the best-tasting one. And taste is certainly what smoking is all about to begin with, as far as I can see. The Winston taste is good and rich and thoroughly enjoyable. So for more pure joy in your smoking, why don't you give my Winstons a whirl, huh? You'll find that it's precisely as I say. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Podna, you little sons of the Golden West. Now, it is a pleasure for us to welcome back to our show one of my favorite comedians and certainly a very fine gentleman, Mr. Joe E. Brown. I think this wins you our longevity crown. This is your third time around on our show, isn't it,
Yes,
John?
but stick to 2 syllables, will you? That longevity killed me.
That just means you never mind.
Yes, I guess.
Say, panel, will you put your blindfolds on, please? Because there's skullduggery afoot. Put them on right now. And as soon as they get them on, Henry, don't look up. All right, as soon as we get them on, then we will go to work on our secret. Mr. Brown, will you whisper your secret to me, please? All right. This secret concerns something that Mr. Brown is doing, and we will start with, let's start with Facey.
Something Mr. Brown is doing. I hear a curious sound. Mr. Brown, Joe?
I beg your pardon? I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Does the sound I hear have anything to do with your secret?
Oh, yes. Yes, quite definitely.
I see. It sounds like a cool breeze blowing across the Stygian tide. Would that,
Stygian, Ohio, is it?
Is it a physical thing you're doing, Joe?
I would say that what he's doing is very physical, yes. Although it must bother him mentally to some degree.
I'm
Not
afraid I'm
to
going to
tell.
have to pass. I think I know what this is.
You think you know what it is and you're going to pass? All right, there's $20 down and $60 to go, and we go on to Bill Cullen.
Well, I think that's pretty decent of you, too.
Thank you, darling.
Joe, are you doing this now?
No.
Yeah? No?
Not right now, no.
But as a continuing action while the panel is questioning, he is, yes, doing it.
Are you playing with your voice for some particular reason?
No, I'm not.
Well, someone's
I'm
sure
not.
playing with it for you.
What's that, Bill?
I say someone's sure playing with it for him because that doesn't sound like Joe at all, and at one time it didn't sound like you, Gare.
You answer
Well,
for
both
me,
Mr.
Gary.
Brown and I are speaking as naturally as we possibly can. We are making no effort to disguise our voices
you know what you
whatsoever.
sound like? You know what you sound like, Gare?
Watch your language.
You sound like a 33 MC on 78.
Well,
I
thanks
can't-
a mill.
I can't figure out. Are you doing something? You're naturally doing something to your nose, Joe.
No, not to my nose.
Sound like Woody Woodpecker.
All right, there's $40 down and $40 to go, and we go to Jane Meadows, please.
That's
The
pretty
only
good
oth-
going, I'll say, too.
Oh, you little doll. You know, the last time I heard voices sound like that was when the wizard, or whatever his name was, on Steve's show gave some gas to be inhaled that changed the voices. Is that what's going on now?
Well, I would say it has a very definite connection, but you must name the gas and...
Oh, what is the name of that?
Oxygen.
Helium. Helium.
Helium. Helium is absolutely right, yes. And I want to tell you, this is a doggone sensation.
Yes, it really is. Yeah, I'll have to tell you, they asked me to do this, and I wasn't certain about it, but I told Gare that, I said, I'll see you inhale first.
Yes, Faye.
I passed is once somebody did this to me, and I didn't believe it was true, but it happened to me, so I knew
Well,
it.
I'll tell you the scientific explanation of this. Our vocal cords are used to working... Wait a minute, I'll get out there and help you.
Oh, boy, fun.
I'll go and help thing over close.
Now you know who I am. Put it over your side. Now, take a couple of good deep breaths.
Now, wait a minute, Bill. Bill, get your lungs full and then read
Take
this.
all you want. Won't hurt. No, breathe in, not out. Don't give it back. Keep it. There you are. Read.
Friends, Romans, countrymen. Lend me your ear. I came to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar and Tony Marvin.
Now, while she's inhaling, I'll explain that your vocal cords are used to working in very heavy air, or normal air.
She's ready. She's ready.
She's ready.
Once upon a midnight while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of curious law. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly I heard a rapping. That sounds like me.
It does not.
Henry.
Friends,
There, Henry.
Diddle diddle dumpling, my friend. Went to bed with a stocking tie. Whatever became of my stocking? Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, isn't that dark?
And the mouse, too. This is so foolish. Big deep breath. Big deep breath now. You ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
That's right.
Go ahead.
That's right, for your winter breaks. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun.
Let's get off center here.
Wait a minute. Hey, heads up.
I know that everybody is going to wonder what happens here, so I'm trying to get the explanation in a couple of times, and I'll explain it to you now. It's absolutely non-toxic. It cannot do you any harm. The idea is, I say, that we're all used to breathing, and our vocal cords are used to vibrating in normal air, which is very heavy. Helium is very light. So therefore, through many years of speaking, you speak with a certain amount of force. Then when you get your lungs and your head full of helium and you speak with the same force, your vocal cords are vibrating in much lighter air. As a result,
I want to thank you, Joey Brown, very much for being with us tonight. It's been a great pleasure having you aboard.
and I hope my voice...
Wait till I get loaded. Oh, boy, I'll tell you.
I wish I'd done a commercial with this.
Now let's pause for a moment to take a look at a couple who obviously get a lot of fun out of life.
Okay, fly boy. Bedtime. Let's go. Flaps up.
Good night, sweetie. That boy.
Oh, here, have a cigarette.
Thanks. You smoking a Winston?
Winston tastes good.
Like a cigarette should.
You know, you're right. These Winstons really taste like a cigarette. I should have switched sooner.
Make friends with Winston. Winston flavor is full and rich, thoroughly enjoyable. Besides, Winston has an exclusive filter, a filter that does its job so smoothly and so effectively that the flavor really comes through to you. So switch to America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette. Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
Well, now, my friends, I would like to tell you about our next guest, and I'd like to tell you about who is standing behind that curtain. First of all, we have a man who holds the national junior college broad jumping record of 25 feet, 6 1/4 inches. Then we have a fellow who was the state tennis champion of his division in California. Then a young man who was ping pong champion of his troop in the Army. We also have a fellow who was an All-American football player at UCLA. I'm also going to introduce a basketball player who led Pacific Coast Conference in scoring for 2 consecutive years, 1940, 1941. I also want you to meet a fellow who shot a 71 in golf just a few days ago. Now, would all of you champion athletes please come out and meet our audience? You come out, please. Yay! This is all of those fellows who I mentioned, and of course has played a little baseball in his time, too, Jackie Robinson. Jackie, grab his tools, friend. Those of you who rushed out, as I did yesterday, and bought a copy of Look magazine, and if you didn't buy a copy of Look, you'd no doubt heard the repercussions in the paper, and you know that Jackie Robinson is now the most talked about athlete in America, because he declared his intentions in yesterday's Look magazine as having finished his baseball career and taking on a job as an executive. An executive of what sort and with whom, Jack?
Well, I'm vice president in charge of personnel for Chock-full of Nuts, a restaurant chain here. They have a coffee factory and a bakery over in Jersey, and I'm very, very proud to be associated with the organization.
Well, they ought to be real proud to get you, my friends. You've got just a tremendous record. I tell you what we decided to do tonight. We know that there's so many people in America who have reacted with their own hearts to this Jackie Robinson story that we thought we would not play I've Got a Secret, but we'd invent a new game just for him. And the name of this game is I've Got No Secrets. Instead of having a panel of 4, we will have a panel of approximately 700. Those are the folks in our studio audience. In our studio audience at the moment are the members of our panel with hand microphones, Jane Meadows and Bill and Fay and Henry in the balcony. So we will allow you, Mr. Robinson will allow you to ask him any questions you want about anything you'd like to know from him. All you have to do is raise your hand, and somebody with a microphone standing near you, to you will grab hold of you, and we'll start the questions. The first hand that I see going up is the lady in here. Can we get a microphone into her, Jane? Will you pass the microphone down to this young lady, please?
Yes, could you pass that down? And would you give your name and your question?
All right, and when we get to you, young lady, will you tell us what your name is, please?
My name is Ruth Cunningham, and I would like to know if Jackie Robinson will miss playing baseball.
Yes, I'm sure that I'll miss it very much. I love the game of baseball, and I love what baseball has done for me. I appreciate all the wonderful contacts I've made out of it, but I think at 38 that I have to start thinking about my future, and I think I'm doing that in associating myself with Look magazine and Chock-full of Nuts.
You know what fractures mean? He says he's quitting baseball because he's getting too old. You're 38, Jack?
I'll be 38 at the end of the month, yes.
I'll be 42 at the end of the month. What do you think this does to an old man like me, having you talking about you being too young? Bill Cullen, have you got hold of somebody over there?
Yes, I have, Gary. I have a fellow from Chicago, Illinois, by the name of Harry Rosenfield. Harry?
Ask him to stand up, please. He's kind of back in the shadows. Yes, Harry, what would you like to know?
I'd like to know is how come you quit the Giants instead of playing, this year, going with the Giants? You said in the paper, it said that you might play with the Giants for this year.
Oh, the point was, why did he pick the Giants to play
No,
with?
why did he quit? He said his manager told him that he talked to a club, Mr. Business place that he's going to work for, and they said that he agreed with him to play this year for the Giants.
I don't think that I've ever said that I would play this year for the Giants. I naturally had to evade some questions when I was asked about what was going to happen next year. I did that simply because of the fact that I felt I had a moral obligation to Look magazine not to reveal the exclusive story that they had paid for some 3 years ago. I think that if I did have a moral obligation to the New York Giants, that obligation ended when I asked Mr. Feeney if he would withhold the story until January 10th so that I could make up my mind definitely, and I would give him an answer as of January the 10th. Mr. Feeney has been very, very nice about that, and I appreciate the way that he has accepted my resignation from baseball or my retirement.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, Fay, up in the balcony, please. Fay, what is the gentleman's name?
Yes, Gary, I have for Jackie Mr. Michael Manning of New York City who'd like to ask his question. Mr. Manning?
Jackie, frankly speaking, to what extent was the fact that you were traded to the Giants a factor in your decision to retire?
It had absolutely nothing to do with my decision. I had signed a contract with Mr. Black 10 minutes before I knew that I had been traded, so the trade had absolutely nothing to do with my decision.
Mr. Black is the gentleman who's with the restaurant chain.
He is the president of Chock full of Nuts.
Yeah. All right, that answers that question, and once and for all, I guess. Now, Henry, who you have with you, please?
I have a gentleman with me, Gary, but Jackie, I want to ask a question. Somebody made the statement, I think it was Mr. Bavesi of Brooklyn, that all these years the newspaper men have been so nice to you and that you were not nice to them. Now, I had always thought that all these years the newspapers were pretty mean to you. What do you think?
Well, I think I have an awful lot of friends among the newspaper men. I appreciate that friendship. There have been occasions when we differed. There have been occasions when I deserved the knocks that I received from the newspaper men, and I certainly had no regrets. The only time I regretted when a newspaper man knocked me when I thought that I was right. And when I feel that I'm right, then I don't care too much about the knocks that I receive, because when I'm wrong, I know it down here, and I don't have to wait for the newspapers to tell me whether I'm right or wrong.
Well said.
And Henry, Henry, before getting to your friend, I must say this. We talk about, anybody said that Jackie is not nice to the newspaper man. We were sitting around here just about 20 minutes before showtime, and about 6 of them came bursting in the stage door at a time when Jackie had his mind on the show, and sure enough, up they went to my dressing room, and they sat around there, and he has been being grilled for the last 20 minutes, even up until the time the show went on the air. So that should answer that question. Now, the gentleman, please.
Oh, I got so interested I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Why don't you give your name and your question?
My name is Vince Caristi. Jack, did the fact that you were traded to the Giants have any bearing on your retirement?
I think that was asked.
That was asked.
That question's already been asked over here on the other side. Yes. Do you have another question?
All right, I'll ask another question.
No, Henry.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Let's get down to Jane
We
Meadows,
have a
please.
Mr. Bolnick, Jackie, of Skokie, Illinois.
Yes, at the end of a very brilliant career, I would like to ask Jackie what he feels was the most important Major League game he's ever played in.
I would think that the final game of the regular season in 1951 against the Philadelphia Phillies, it's a game that will always stand out in my mind.
Was that the game that ended in the tie season? Was that the one where Brooklyn came from behind, and as I recall, you made a very brilliant stop and then later a home run that won the game for Brooklyn?
That's the game, but I like to forget what happened in the playoffs.
Now, very quickly, let's get over to Joe Brown. We've got 30
Man
seconds.
from
I
Los
think you should
Angeles,
have
yes.
the last say here.
Thank you. Jackie, I've known you, of course, since you reported at UCLA as a freshman. We've been pretty good friends, and you're a great athlete, and I'm not going to ask how heavy you are, but who do you think is the greatest general manager in the major leagues today? Of course, you know that Joe L. is with Pittsburgh.
Oh, well, there's no question in my mind about Joe L. being the greatest.
He's the greatest, fine. You're the greatest ever.
Jackie, we're out of time. A million thanks to you for being with us tonight. I'm sure that everyone agrees with me when I say we wish you nothing but the best of luck on a very courageous decision. And so until next week, friends, at the same time, this will be Gary Morris saying bye-bye for all of us. Be very kind to each other, will you? And goodbye out there.
I've Got a Secret is brought to you each week at this time by Winston, America's most popular filter cigarette. Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. Travel arrangements for I've Got a Secret are made through United Airlines. United Airlines flies our contestants in fast new DC-7 mainliners.
Salem refreshes your taste. A new idea in smoking. Menthol fresh. Rich tobacco taste. Most modern filter, too. Through Salem's pure white filter flows the freshest taste in cigarettes. Salem refreshes your taste.
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Miss Meadows down by Sorrel. This is John Cannon speaking.
Are you watching, you little rascals?
Oh, it's fun, isn't it? And who subscribes to it?
Go on, push the button.
Think of the fun you could have on the tube. The tube?
YouTube.
Tube. TV tubes.
That's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's going to be a lot more fun if you keep going the way you're going.
Go on, push the button.
Please subscribe.
I hope they're watching.